The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Spokane, Washington, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32371. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. We'll start down at the front bumper. Starting on the passenger side, you'll find your PA and siren speaker. Moving just inward of that side, on the passenger and driver side, you'll find dual air horns. Moving up onto the top in the bumper area, you'll find an 1.5-inch swivel discharge, and then located directly in the center, you'll find a tubbed storage area for that hose. Let's move up onto the top here. You'll find your headlight cluster, on the outer edge a marker light, a turn indicator, low and high beam headlights. Moving up from that location, you'll find 2 forward-facing emergency lights, which are red. And then moving up, you'll find your windshield wipers on both sides, and then also your mirrors, both flat and convex. Moving up onto the top, this is the brow area of the apparatus. You'll find 5 amber LED lights. These are your running lights. Moving to the outer edge here, you'll find 2 off-center floodlights. Moving directly above at the very top, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located within that light bar, you'll find your opticom. Also, I missed out on one more thing. In the very center, you'll find your mechanical siren. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side view here. On the bumper extension, you will find a side-facing emergency light on both driver and passenger side. Moving up from that location, you're going to find your side-facing camera here when you turn on your turn signals. Close up here of your headlight cluster, turn, and also the marker light. As we move around to the very front, you'll find the front discharge. This is foam and water capable. This is an 1.5-inch swivel discharge. Here's an image of your Spokane Fire Department logo. In the upper left-hand corner is that side-facing camera. Moving up to the side of the apparatus, you'll find a side scene light. Just beneath that, you'll find a water tank level indicator from green, blue, amber to red, flashing as empty. You'll also find a side-facing emergency warning light onto the body. Let's move down to the very section behind the cab. This is going to be your pump panel section. You'll find 2 discharges. First, the number 1 discharge and also the number 3 discharge. These are both 2.5-inch discharges. As we move up, because of those discharges, you might have pressure behind those caps. Be cautious when you remove your cap. There could be pressure. That's what the warning labels here is for. Behind the Pierce logo and the American flag eagle is your large diameter intake. Moving to the upper right, you'll find your auxiliary foam functions. This is for foam inlet, foam drain, and also for fill. Moving to the right-hand side, you're going to find 2 warning stickers here. First, for your foam, this is a warning that not to mix foam types or different manufacturers for batch mixing. And then also down at the very bottom, you'll find a warning here not to ride on the side of the apparatus. You do have a direct tank fill, and at the very bottom, you'll find all of your associated discharge, which are clearly color labeled. You'll also find your auxiliary 2.5-inch inlet on the far right. Here's a few close-ups of those areas we talked about, the number 1 and number 3 discharge. As we move just slightly to the right, you're going to find down a little bit, you'll find the discharge drains, color-coded and also labeled. And then to the far right, this is your direct tank fill and also your auxiliary side inlet. Let's move up to the very top here. First, a quick warning label. This is your cross lays. Because of those cross lays, there is entanglement hazard. That's what this sticker's for. Be cautious when you pull those lines off. You also have 2 cross lays here, number 1 and number 2 cross lays. They are both foam capable. Directly in between the 2 of those, you'll find a latch mechanism. This to release the speed lay so that you can pull those individually out and load them on the ground. These are the 2 connection points for your speed lays. Those are 1.5-inch discharges for the 2 speed lays in the upper portion. As we move over to the side slightly of that location, you're going to find an additional compartment. This is a through compartment. And now we're to the pump panel area. This is the first compartment on the driver's side. If your pump is properly engaged, that light will illuminate.
As to the left here, the round black diode here, or speaker I should say, this is a speaker which has speaker control for volume. Turn right and left will damper. To the right, you'll find your pump heat indicator. It is automatic. And then to the right, you'll find your foam A tank. This is for the level of your foam tank. To the right, in the gray section, you're going to find your master intake gauge and also your master discharge gauge. Just beneath the two of those, you'll find these two ports. These are your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They currently are plugged. Let's move to the upper right-hand side. You can see lit now. It is the PCM fault. It's because the engine is not in operation, but that's what this is for. And then just beneath that, you'll find an additional speaker and then also a pump overheat, which is an amber indicator. Let's move down to the next section, which will be your discharges. Once again, they're all color-coded and labeled. Starting in the upper left, you'll find your front discharge, foam capable, number 1, number 2, real discharge, driver's side discharge, and you're also going to find your driver's side 1.5 inch pre-connect. Once again, all of these discharges across this area all have the ability to be locked, and they're also foam capable, and you can see that by the red placard. To the right, you'll find your Pierce throttle pressure governor. I would like to point out in the upper corner, if illuminated, this is an amber check engine light. To the very far right, if illuminated, would be red. This is a stop engine indicator. Down lower into the module, you'll find your pressure control, indicating that that's the mode that you're in. Or to the right, you'll find RPM control, and that means that you're in that module. There is also in between the two switches, you'll find throttle ready. That's indicating that you can make adjustments to the throttle. Let's move to the left-hand side, slightly down from that position. This is your foam instructions and also your foam specifications placard. Down below that, you'll find your tank fill, tank to pump, and also your deluge discharge. Once again, clearly identified here, they are black labels indicating tank fill, tank to pump, and deluge discharge. Let's move to the right. You'll find your red section here. This module is for your foam system. You can see the power in the upper left-hand corner. And then when foam is flowing, you'll see in the upper right corner. This is going to be your air prime. There are instructions just beneath that. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you'll find your recirculating line. That's a twist, not a pull. And then down to your passenger rear discharge. You do have two electronic valves on the off side or passenger side. This is number 2 and also your large diameter discharge. Let's move further down to the left, and we're going to find all of the associated drains, and also these are twist, the round ones are, and the next ones over to the right, those are going to be levers that move up and downward. Those are going to be your discharge drains. You'll also find this door. Behind this door is where you're going to find some controls. We'll cover those in the next set of images. Here's a close-up of those foam. This is for your blowdown, also for your front discharge blowdown, and also your main blowdown. These are going to be your discharges, close-up of those. This is that compartment door we're talking about. This is where your manual pump shift override is. It does have a protected switch, which is behind the red cap. If activated, the amber light will activate, indicating that you've engaged it. In the upper section here, this yellow handle, there's instructions on the door. This is for foam fill operations. You will find your Pierce minimum maintenance operation schedule. This is for the 150, 200, and 250 PSI test pressures. It has on the left-hand side the GPM associated with the RPM and the PSI. You'll also find the job number in the very top. Let's move to the left side of the pump panel. You're going to find your front floods, driver's side scene lights, passenger side scene lights, and in the red you have an air horn switch. Let's go ahead and move into the very first compartment. This is going to be the module here for when plugged into shore power. You'll activate the shore power, which will maintain your air compressor. In front and rear of the rear tire, you'll find 3 bottle storage locations. As we move to the center compartment, you can see you have an adjustable shelf, LED lighting. As we move to the back, you'll find a single SCBA bottle storage locations, and then access for your diesel, fuel, and also your DEF. Silver diesel, blue is DEF. Underneath in the rear section, you're going to find your 2 folding wheel chocks. Also on the side panel, you'll find your in memory of firefighter Thomas E. Sparrow, October 4th, 1885 to July 15th of 1939. Let's take a look inside that compartment. This is where you're going to find adjustable shelving on your side, and also you'll find track shelving on the very back wall. This is your adjustable shelving mechanisms, and as you look down at the very bottom, the right-hand side is the release mechanism for this shelf to be pulled outward. Just a general view of the lower section with the dry deck. Once again, LED lighting in all of your compartments. Let's move to the rear of the apparatus now. Let's first start on the right and left side in the rear. You obviously have your brake, turn, and reverse lights. You'll also find emergency lights. There are 3 sets on the passenger side, in addition with 3 sets on the driver's side. To release the ladder mechanism, first pull the ladder outward, and then you'll find the release mechanism to lower the ladder downward. You have 2 discharges in the rear. They're 2.5 inch. Also located, you'll find your backup camera directly mounted in the center. As we move down from that location, you're going to find 3 switches. We'll talk about those switches in just a moment as we have some close-ups of those individually. You're also going to find a warning label here not to ride on the back of the apparatus, and also pressurized cap warning, and also the not riding on the apparatus. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your shore power plug-in. Just next to that shore power plug-in is where you'll find your auto release for your air chuck, for your air systems, for your brakes. Here's the 2 switches on the left-hand side. This will be the hose bed lights and also work lights. This is going to be on the driver's side, and on the passenger side you'll find your rear scene lights. These are both switches for those locations. This is your shoreline inlet, 20 amp, and then next to it is your auto eject for your airline. As we look to the top section here, you'll find 2 compartments. We'll talk about those in a minute. You also have a fold down step. You also have on the passenger side an adjustable floodlight at the very top on the pull mechanism. Just as a quick reminder, it's not designed to be utilized as a grab handle. As we look to the very top compartment, you'll find a 10-foot folding ladder and also a long tool. As we move down to the next section, you'll find a 24-foot extension ladder, a 14-foot roof ladder, and then also you'll find inside your foam connection sitting loosely in the very bottom. As we look to the top, close up once again, this is just above the Pierce logo, is your backup camera and the 2 discharges. Rear section of your compartments here, this is the roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelf, and also LED lighting. As we move up to the very top of the apparatus, you'll find LED lighting. Those are the switches down in the lower section that will control these, and then also have some safety diamonds located on each side for your walkway. As we look to the hose bed area, you will find your 4 adjustable hose bed dividers. Just in front of that, you'll find an additional top storage with dry deck and LED lighting. As we look to the cab of the apparatus, it's a painted surface, so be cautious, and here's your warning label regarding slipping on this surface. You'll also find in front of the notch area your AC unit, and then just above that, forward facing here, you're going to find your emergency light bar. Let's move now to the dunnage area of your apparatus. This is where you'll find your booster line. The arrow is indicating now a tensioning. This is the ability to tension that reel as it spools out. You'll also find in case of mechanical failure, electrical failure, mechanically you can rewind through the top rewind. This is going to be your hydraulic oil. There's a sight gauge on the front and then also a fill location at the very top. Once again, your foam hydraulic oil reservoir. Moving forward, you'll find your water tank top fill and also a foam tank for foam A. As we look to the side, you'll also find additional long tool storage compartments, dry deck, and also LED lighting. We'll work through a couple close-ups of this area here just to point out all of the storage locations you have. Looking forward from the hose bed forward of the apparatus. This is going to be the location of your large diameter master stream device, which is on the top. As we move to the side compartment, we're now on the passenger side, This is going to be your release mechanism for allowing that bottom shelf to pull out. On this side, you'll also find 3 bottle storage locations with safety straps, and then just in front of that, you have additional bottle storage with the 2 safety straps, oxygen bottle in the upper right corner. Over the wheel, you'll find a tool board. This is the release mechanism on the left. Once it's been opened, you will have to release the mechanism on the right-hand side, which is the hinge, to restore it back to its original position. The arrow is pointing at the doorway. It's blocking a warning label here, or caution label, regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust, and be cautious as to where you park your vehicle. We're now to the pump section here. Let's start on the upper left-hand corner with a warning label regarding not riding on the side of the apparatus. You'll also find your 2.5-inch strainer. That's the screen behind it. And then as we move down to the very bottom, you'll find your 2.5 auxiliary inlet. And then moving up to the very top with the duct tape currently on it, this is going to be your large diameter intake. Moving to the right, this is your cab lift control module. There are some danger and some caution labels here. Please read that prior to operation. You will find an additional warning label here regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards with removing them. You do have two discharges on this side, a 2.5 inch and also your large diameter. Because of those two discharges being electronic, you do have the ability to, in case of a failure, open or close, and that is the two outlets here, which requires a special key. Down in the very bottom, you'll also find your foam drain. Moving down at the very bottom section, you'll find all of your associated discharge drains. They're individually labeled. Let's take a look close up here. This is your cab lift. Once again, raise and lower is the red switch and activate on the left. Down at the very bottom, you'll find just a close up here. I'm really speaking to the discharge drains and also that foam drain. Close up here once again of the overrides. This is for your 2.5 inch and also your large diameter, the two electronic valves on this side. And then as we look to this side, large diameter intake and then your water strainer. To the far right, you'll find the switch for the reel rewind. And then as we move directly above this location, we'll find that netting here for those cross lays. Once again, the same image on the other side, but I would like to point out once again, those hose lines coming off, you can be entangled, so that's what the warning label here is for. You do have the access to the through compartment on this side also. Let's go ahead and move now to the rear section of the cab. We're on the passenger side looking in. Would like to point out in the very rear section of the engine compartment, you will find an access. You'll also find at the very top corner here a switch. That switch controls your compartment lights. There's one on the driver's side also in the same location. As we look to that center compartment here, this is for your daily checks, for checking your oil and also your transmission so you don't have to tilt the cab each time. Let's go ahead and take a look. Once again, you have two fold down seats on the right and left hand side, and then you also have your two center facing forward seats. David Clark headset systems overhead. Let's go ahead and now move to the side. This is going to be your driver's side section. You can see just in front of that driver's side section, this is going to be your shore power outlets. There are two outlets on this side. Just a general view from the rear looking forward. We'll now cover the front section of your apparatus. But first, as we move around from this door to the front door, you'll find your air intake and also your auto locks. As we move into the cab of the apparatus, you will find at all points of entry these stickers or warning labels on all points of entry. Your vehicle is also equipped with a SRS, which is a supplemental restraint system airbag. So be cautious if you do any type of mounting of any equipment in this area. There's also a warning label regarding that, and you should seek your owner's manual. There is an access door here to gain all of your electronics behind this. Below that on the floor level, you'll find your foot pedals for your air brake and also your grinder or mechanical siren. In the right-hand side on the hinge side, you're going to find your windshield wiper fill location. Here's the electronic siren and mechanical siren foot pedals. As we move up from this location, you'll find your windshield wiper fill and then also that warning label regarding your airbag system. You do have a glove box just underneath the grab handle. As we move to the left in the center of the cab, you'll find your push to talk, siren brake at the very top, parking brake, an additional. It does have a protected switch for you. And then in the center, you'll find the silver with the black cover. This is a 12-volt access point barrel style. And then you will find your vehicle data recorder port located in the very front. Let's look overhead in the officer position. You'll find a Panasonic Weather Sirius XM radio and also a CD player. And you'll also find a high intensity reading light. Let's move to the left. You'll find your code 3. This is for your electronic siren and also your PA system. As we look overhead in the cab, you'll find push on and off red and white lights, depending on what color you want is the side you push. And then in the center, you'll find your do not move your apparatus. If this is illuminated, you have a compartment door open. You'll also find the pull for your air horn. Let's move to the driver's section now. First, points of entry. You'll find once again those warning labels. And then you'll also find a sticker here regarding the use of your seatbelts. Seatbelts are red for easy identification. And then down in the lower right-hand corner here, about right ankle, you're going to find this placard. This is your manufactured from Pierce Manufacturing for the city of Spokane. It has your job number, date of manufacture, gross vehicle weight ratings. It also has your VIN number and tire pressures, but it also has some real handy things here. It has fluid capacities for the component, fluid capacity, and the fluid type. Let's move now to the floor left foot. This is going to be your, for the driver, air horn and mechanical siren operations. These are the foot pedals for those. We're right next to the steering column. As we move upward from this location, about left knee, you'll find your master battery switch. This is the on-off switch here in red. And then you're also going to find 3 diagnostic ports for engine, transmission, ABS, display, and also the tech module. You'll also find your regen information for regen inhibit, regen DPF regen, and also ABS diagnostics. And to the left, you'll also find that grab handle. Let's move up from this location. This is going to be once again about the right knee area. You'll find your stationary OK to pump and roll. You'll find your water pump. You'll find a foam system, a future switch location if you need to add anything. You have a mirror heat, and then an auto lube fault. That's an indicator. Let's move all the way to the top here on the left-hand side. This is your ignition switch. Up from that is the start. So first it goes your ignition and then push the start switch. And then above that you have your 4-way flashers or hazard lights. Moving inward into the center section here, this little cutout, you'll find a small switch called EM. That stands for Emergency Master. That will engage all of your emergency lights. And then to the right, you'll find your parking lights and then headlights at the top. And then to the right, you'll find a panel rocker switch. This is for bright or dim the panel lights on your gauges. On the very far right side of the column, you'll find your OK to engage the high idle. This is the high idle indicator, and then the switch is on your left to engage that. As we move to the center console, you'll find your transmission gauge on the left, oil pressure, DEF level, water temperature. The 2 gauges in the center, large, are going to be your tachometer and speedometer. To the right, you'll find your volts, fuel, front and rear air, information displays in the center and above the tachometer and speedometer. Quick view of the side section here of the dash area. We'll cover those items next. First, let's start in the upper left-hand corner. This is going to be your pull to apply your system parking brake or push to release. Those are for your main brakes. And then to the right, you'll find a speaker with individual volume control. Then as we move to the right, a tremendous amount of information here at your fingertips. You can scroll through and find a variety of information. Please use the owner's manual and familiarize yourself with this. To the right, you'll find your engine brake on and off, a settings for high, medium, and low, differential lock activated, that's an indicator. And then to the right, you'll find your off-road traction. You can see the yellow switch here, which is your do not remove. That's for us here at the factory. That's for your tire chains to the right. As we see to the left, you'll find a pump in neutral, and then you'll find all of your window controls for driver side, passenger side, your cab, driver side, and passenger side. And then you also have a load manager and then a siren brake all the way to the very far right. I would like to point out the 2 caution labels for disengage the retarder underneath those switches. You do have your Allison transmission pad just up from that location, your mirror controls for flat and convex controls. And then as we move around to the corner here, you're going to find your push to talk for your David Clark head system and also the plug-in for your headset. Moving to the center console, you're going to find a 12-volt access. This is for a USB style 12-volt access. Up from that location, you'll find your climate control. You will find these candy cane warning labels. These are just indications that there are loose wires behind. There is no danger. It's just for your mechanics to be able to access what mechanisms and switches are going to be behind that. At the very top, you'll find your seat belt control, red indicating someone is in the seat but not belted, green indicating they're in the seat and belted. Beneath that, you'll find your code 3 siren and PA control. To the far left overhead, you'll find this placard. 9 feet 10 inches is your height, your length at 31 feet 1 inch, and your gross vehicle weight rating at 46,500 pounds. At the very bottom, you'll also find your job number, which looks like this is apparatus number 3. Moving to the right, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning light, and side warning light. The next set of switches down, you'll find your lower rear warning, upper rear warning, your Opticom switch, and then a white light cutout. To the right, you'll find your driver's side alley, front floods, perimeter lights, and your passenger side alley lights. You also have same scene lights, which are your driver's scene and also passenger scene, rear scene, and an electronic siren. Moving from this location slightly to the right, this is more toward the officer side, you're going to find the pump pressure, and then you'll find a water tank and also a foam tank indicator. Looking from the front to the rear, you have your 2 center seats, and then you have 1 fold-down seat on the the passenger side. Congratulations, Spokane, Washington, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32371. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or any future questions, contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations.